Hello, this is Warm Insight. Today we are going to talk about navigating the relentless tempest of Washington, politics, and global geopolitical shifts to secure your financial future. Leaving a like and subscribing is a huge help to us. Did you know that during the longest government shutdown in United States history, a period of immense political chaos that lasted 35 days from late 2018 to early 2019, the S&P 500 index actually surged by more than 10%? It defies basic logic, does it not? The mainstream narrative tells us that political gridlock brings economic disaster. We are told that when Washington stops working, the entire country grinds to a halt. But history and fundamental economic principles reveal a completely different reality. Right now, Washington feels like an absolute storm. We are seeing major shifts in global policy, fierce domestic power struggles, and deeply personal news reverberating through the halls of power. From the bold pronouncements of the president on international alliances and new overseas conflicts, to the continuing paralysis over vital government functions, the sheer volume of high-stakes information is enough to disorient even the most seasoned observer. Our task today is to sift through this deafening noise. We must understand the underlying currents and find clarity for our journey toward financial peace. Let us begin by examining the intense domestic tug-of-war and the incredible resilience of what we call the unseen economy. Domestically, we are witnessing intense friction across the board. Look at the ongoing shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. With Senate counteroffers now on the table, this shutdown highlights a deep, almost unbridgeable ideological chasm. It is impacting everything from airport security protocols to essential regulatory functions. Meanwhile, we see the aggressive push for the Save America Act, focused on voter identification. We are watching massive legal battles unfold over frozen transit funds, specifically threatening crucial infrastructure like the Manhattan subway project. And we are hearing loud calls for a perjury investigation into a former cabinet member. All of these events demonstrate a high-stakes struggle over governance, resources, and ultimate accountability. This is not mere political theater. It is a fundamental battle for the operational soul of the nation. The common wisdom, the narrative pushed by 24-hour news networks, suggests that such intense political gridlock leads inevitably to paralysis, economic stagnation, and a highly unpredictable business environment. The constant back and forth with seemingly zero progress on major national initiatives breeds a profound sense of futility. It leads many everyday investors to believe that putting their money into the market is simply too risky until stability returns to the capital. But we must practice different thinking. While federal gridlock can indeed slow down certain grand national projects, it also creates an unexpected and highly profitable form of stability. How do you ask? By preventing radical sweeping policy shifts. Legislative inertia means that massive new taxes or sudden, industry-crushing regulations are highly unlikely to pass. Markets actually love this kind of gridlock. Businesses crave predictability above all else, and a paralyzed Congress is a predictable Congress. Furthermore, we must understand that what cannot be accomplished at the federal level almost always inspires aggressive action at the state, local, or even private sector level. Innovation thrives in the gaps left by federal incompetence or inaction. When federal transit funds for a major project like the Manhattan subway are frozen, the city does not simply stop moving. The current lawsuit of the local transit agency reminds us that local governments will fight tooth and nail to secure alternative funding. They will turn to municipal bonds, private-public partnerships, and state-level taxation to keep foundational infrastructure alive. Basic economic activity continues, regardless of the daily squabbles in Washington. For the intelligent investor, this means looking far beyond the sensational headlines. It means seeking out sectors that are resilient, locally driven, or those that find massive opportunities in filling the void left by federal inaction. These sectors are often completely shielded from the political storm. This brings us to the concept of the Washington waltz. It is always one step forward, two steps back, followed by a sudden, jarring pivot. While it looks like total chaos from the outside, the dance floor is still very much there. The key to your financial survival is not to wait for the music to stop. The key is to find your own rhythm amidst the swirling movements. Human psychology plays a massive role here. We suffer from something called the availability heuristic. Because news about political dysfunction is the most available information, constantly pushed to our screens, we assume it is the most critical factor determining our economic reality. But the most predictable thing about Washington is its absolute unpredictability. You must plan for the dance, not the halt. The unseen economy, the millions of small businesses, the daily consumer transactions, the quiet innovations happening in laboratories and warehouses across the country, this is the true engine of prosperity, and it simply does not care about political theater. Now let us shift our focus from domestic gridlock to the massive geopolitical chessboard shifts happening right before our eyes. We are currently witnessing a dramatic reorientation of global strategy. This is driven by a firm, uncompromising belief in prioritizing national interests above all else. The outspoken criticism of long-standing NATO allies by the president is sending shockwaves through Europe. His declaration of a new conflict in Iran and highly aggressive statements about Cuba signal a determined irreversible move away from the multilateral frameworks that have governed the world for decades. This is not just campaign rhetoric anymore. It is a fundamental reshaping of who the United States relies on and how it projects power and influence across the globe. This reality is underscored heavily by the sudden resignation of a key national security figure, a resignation driven by a deep belief that the new engagement in Iran lacked any immediate threat justification. This internal friction and external aggression has even forced a massive delay in critical economic talks with China, highlighting exactly how deeply these new geopolitical realities are impacting global economic diplomacy. When people look at this changing global landscape, many simply see pure chaos, terrifying instability, and the looming threat of prolonged global conflicts or devastating trade wars. The knee-jerk reaction for the average person is to retreat. They believe that global unpredictability will inevitably crash financial markets and halt human progress. They fear that breaking old alliances means utter isolation and guaranteed economic decline. But again, we must embrace different thinking. While these periods of global redefinition are undoubtedly unsettling, they are also deeply pregnant with historic opportunity. Look back at history. Whenever major global powers dramatically recalibrate their foreign policy, incredible new economic pathways and strategic partnerships inevitably emerge out of the ashes of the old order. The very act of the United States questioning its old alliances forces other countries to frantically reassess their own strategic value and seek new alignments. This creates a vacuum, and markets abhor a vacuum. If traditional multilateral treaties are abandoned, they will be replaced by swift, transactional, bilateral agreements. This creates enormous, unprecedented opportunities for industries that can adapt quickly. For example, if NATO allies are forced to take on more of their own defense burdens, due to American criticism, European defense spending will absolutely skyrocket. This creates a massive boom for aerospace and defense contractors globally. If global supply chains are threatened by conflicts in the Middle East, such as the situation in Iran, it forces an immediate massive influx of capital into domestic energy production, alternative energy technologies, and localized supply chain logistics. Nations that become preferred. Bilateral partners will see surges in foreign direct investment. Domestic sectors benefiting from redirected focus, like domestic manufacturing and critical mineral mining, will experience unprecedented growth. The real takeaway here is not that the global economic game is over. The reality is simply that the rules are changing. Those who take the time to deeply understand the new board can position themselves for truly unexpected and life-changing gains. You must adopt the mental model of the global chess match. The ultimate lesson is this. Do not just watch the moves as they are reported on the evening news. Anticipate the new board setup. Anticipate the resources, the commodities, the technologies, and the partnerships needed to play the game under these new rules. When a trade route is blocked, a new one must be built. When an alliance falls apart, new security technologies must be purchased. The smart money follows the shifting tectonic plates of global power, while the fearful money hides under the mattress. This brings us to the warm insight for today. When the political winds howl outside your window, it is incredibly easy to feel overwhelmed. It is entirely human to let anxiety about the future cloud your judgment and paralyze your financial decision-making. But you must remember this absolute, unshakable truth. Fundamental human needs and relentless human ingenuity persist, regardless of who occupies the White House. or which political party controls the gavels in Congress. People still need to eat. People still need shelter, medicine, energy, and communication. The drive to build a better life for our families does not vanish because politicians are arguing your personal path to financial freedom is built on sound, tested principles, not on reacting to daily political headlines. Focus intensely on the long game. Diversify your investments wisely across different asset classes and geographical regions. Actively seek out sectors and opportunities that address tangible, real-world needs. Look for investments that are either actively supported by these massive global shifts or those that are inherently resilient to political machinations. Real wealth is not created by timing the political cycle perfectly. We build our prosperity brick by brick, foundation by foundation, not headline by headline. Let the politicians dance their waltz. You must focus on building your fortress. And I want to leave you with one final, very important thought. The recent news regarding the cancer diagnosis of a senior White House aide is a profound and sobering reminder for every single one of us. It strips away all the political rhetoric, the partisan division, and the illusion of absolute power. It reminds us that even at the very highest levels of global influence, we are all just people. We are all vulnerable human beings navigating the unpredictable, sometimes terrifying challenges of life. It is a deeply humbling thought, and it serves to ground us completely amidst all the political fireworks. Health, family, and our shared human experience are what truly matter at the end of the day. Never lose sight of that as you build your financial future. How are you adjusting your own long-term strategies to filter out the daily noise of Washington and focus on what really matters? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below.